السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد سيد الخلق أجمعين. اللهم ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وارحمنا واهدنا واهد بنا وعافنا وزدنا علما يا رحمن يا رحيم. اللهم يا ربنا اجعلنا من عبادك الصالحين. اللهم ربنا اجعلنا من العالمين المتعلمين، واجعلنا يا ربنا من أهل الخير يا عزيز يا كريم. Inshallah, today we will be doing tafsir, inshallah, in Surah Al-A'raf, Surah number 7 in the sequence from the beginning of the Quran. And it is the ayah, starting in the ayah number 80, inshallah, through the ayah number 94, inshallah. And we might get extended a little bit further afterwards, inshallah. Surah Al-A'raf, as we talked about, it is a surah that the theme of the surah talks about the encouragement of people to fully enter, to fully go deep with a full commitment for all their actions, for people to continuously be in the state of commitment to their deen, with no any kind of ambiguity or any kind of hesitation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we started before Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked in the surah after mentioning the few examples of the nations. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving a full description of the nations before us. And we stopped, inshallah, on after the people of Thamud and the people of Ad. Today, inshallah, we'll be talking about the people of Lut alayhi salam. Who is Lut? Lut is mentioned in the Old Testament. His name is Lot. And there's supposed to be in their stories that there's two different villages that supposedly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him to. And he is, in the tafsir, and this is of course all of it from the Israeliyat, from Bani Israel, the stories of who he is, what he is. And as well as you all know, that we take these stories as face value. We take it, we don't deny it, and we don't reject it. We take it in. And of course, as long as does not touch the heart of our deen, it's nothing but stories. As Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in the hadith, Hadithu an Bani Israel. Talk about Bani Israel. Talk about their stories. Talk about what they mentioned. But of course, it does not touch our deen, does not touch the heart or the ibadat in our deen. It's just nothing but stories. Lut is the son of Haran. Haran is the son of Azar. Azar is the father of Ibrahim. So Ibrahim alayhi salam has a brother, his name is Haran, from the same father, Azar. Haran has a son, his name is Lut. So he is the nephew of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and that's where the relationship between them. And the story is that when Nabiullah Ibrahim alayhi salam had his, making da'wah amongst his people, and he was living between the two rivers, and that is in Iraq today, in the land of Iraq. And eventually, when he crossed the river and he left his father, he left his people after the confrontation between him and the king, the Nimrod, and on, whatever, he took off. And Lut alayhi salam, with the wife of Ibrahim, Sarah, they were some of the few who traveled with him. They believed in him, and they traveled across. Lut alayhi salam settled in that area in the Palestinian-Jordanian border today. Wallahu alam, it is the land of Sodom, and we call it in the tafsir, he is called it Sadum, which is Sodom, and the other village is Gomorrah. I'm not sure in Arabic or the Quran we describe the two villages, but it is one village, was possibly two tribes in one village. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. But you notice the concentration here is not too much about the people of Lut. About the village of Lut. We don't have a name for it, not like the Ahqaf, we know the name of it. the name of the place of where they were. Here, there's no name of the actual tribe. There's a name of the village and the name of the prophet. So, the ayah number 80, وَلُوطًا وَلُوط and Lut. So it has ataf. Wa, and there's mentioned as Thamud, as Ad, as the nations before it. When he قال لقومه, when he said to his people, أتأتون الفاحشة, you come to fahisha, you bring in the fahisha. Al-fahisha is a sin, a great sin, a huge sin, but usually mainly is about in sexual nature. Fahisha like zina, like doing bad actions, bad deeds, mainly in sexual nature, right? So, أتأتون الفاحشة, you've been doing the fahisha, you're doing something that is a huge sin in this nature. ما سبقكم بها من أحد من العالمين. Nobody has beaten you to it from the alamin, from mankind, or even for that matter, jinn kind. Nobody has ever done this before. Nobody has beat you to it. Nobody has ever performed it before. إنكم لتأتون الرجال شهوة من دون النساء. You are coming to rijal, men, the men coming with men, shahwa, as desire, as a lust. Min duni nisa, below and without, away from women. You are desiring men and you're not staying away from women. And then the next sentence here, it says, bal, and we know the word harf bal, the letter bal, means that it actually negates what's before it, substantiates what's after it. So you're not only doing this, you're not just doing just a simple action of desiring men desiring men for that matter, but you are qawmun musrifun. You are in the state of israf. What is israf? If you look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, talks about the israf, like for instance, Surah Al-Furqan, وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَنفَقُوا لَمْ يُسْرِفُوا وَلَمْ يَقْتُرُوا وَكَانَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ قَوَامًا. Israf is to overspend as far as money. So if people who are in the state of israf, they are going beyond the limits of what is allowed to them. That is called israf. For instance, if somebody has a budget, right? Somebody has a budget for him to spend, and he crosses this budget, we call it israf. That he overspent, he splurged, he went beyond what he was supposed to spend. How about a personality? If somebody is splurging as far as personality and character, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describing the people of Lut here, says, what he said to them is, Bal antum bal, but actually you are qawmun musrifun. You have crossed your limits, crossed what is allowed for you to do. You're no longer constrained by what you're supposed to be stopping by. وَمَا كَانَ جَوَابَ قَوْمِهِ, the ayah number 82. So the confrontation is clear. Lut, as the good character of Lut, the good person Lut, the prophet Lut, he came to his people and he told them, he says, you're doing the fahisha. Nobody has ever done it before you. You were the first one to beat everybody to it. You were the first ones. From alameen, from all mankind and all jinn kind, from any kind that has any ilm, any kind of knowledge. You are going after men, shahwa, with the state of desire, other than women, but you are musrifun, you are crossing your limits. And this is a meaning here. Do you notice that how Lut alayhi salam, with his approach to his people, it's not about kufr, it's not about shirk, it's about a behavior that is so undesirable, so bad, so horrible, that is actually, this is the main concentration of the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of a behavior that will end up causing destruction and demise and removal of the people who act this way overall. You notice that? People of Lut there's not too much talk about kufr. There's not too much about shirk. There's not too much about, idols. It's not about that. It's about the type of behavior they are doing. وَمَا كَانَ جَوَابَ قَوْمِهِ. So how did they answer after he said that you are crossing the limits of doing what you do, you're doing what you're doing? They said, وَمَا كَانَ جَوَابَ قَوْمِهِ إِلَّا أَنْ قَالُوا. They have no jawab, there's no answer of his people except for them to say, أخرجوهم إلا أن قالوا أخرجوهم, kick them out. أخرجوهم من خرج يخرج. Get them out from your qarya, from your village, from your metropolis, from your place. إنهم, these, he's talking about the people of Lut, as to the people of Lut, as to the good doers, the ones who believe in Lut, the family of Lut. What did they say to him? There's no answer for his people except for them to say, kick them out. Innahum, what is the excuse? What is the label? They have labeled them. What is their sin for them to get kicked out? Innahum unasum yatatahharun. They are people, they are making tuhur, they are cleansing themselves, they are purifying themselves. So, what is the answer of the people of Lut? There's no argument to be made. There's nothing they could even say. They could not even say, you know what, this is what, we created to do, like some of the answers. It's not like, oh, you know what, we like it this way, or what's wrong with that? Show us what's wrong. No, they did not have anything to say. They have nothing to say except kick these people out because they are people who are cleansing. They're people yatatahharun. The people, instead of being pure, that's the only answer they had. And truthfully, when you think about it today, there's no answer for this kind of behavior. What are you going to say to somebody? What are you going to tell them? It's in the hearts and the minds of everybody, and everybody knows consciously and subconsciously that this is something is wrong. It's not natural, it's not normal. We are crossing the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He put us here on the face of this earth. And the other ayat explaining what is wrong with this kind of behavior. It actually makes qat' al-nasl. This is kind of stops the khilafah, stop the reproduction of people here on the face of this earth. Of all the men, they don't have, they spend their lives with other men, and there's no interaction, there's no marriage, there's no children. How is humanity going to survive? How are whole mankind is going to have any kind of longevity of a longer run? How? And you can see it today, even less of a behavior today. You see how in some of the countries that we see around us, in Germany sometimes, and sometimes in Japan, and on, that they stay away from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed as good behavior for a man to take a wife, for them to have good children, and these children eventually become productive parts of the community. Today we see great civilizations are in the state of decline and possibly demise and destruction because they have no manpower for them to sustain their success. Like in some other countries, they have a little bit of minds to them that they accept more immigrants to say, you know what, if we cannot sustain our, our man force or human life, we need to bring in people from other places for us to sustain our lifestyle, or even for us to keep going the way we are going, So, and you notice here also, what was the answer? The answer was what they said, there's no argument to be made. And their crime of the people of Lut, of the family of Lut, the good doers who followed Lut, is because qawmun yatatahharun, because they're good, pure people. Have you heard this one before? Have you heard of the good Muslim people in our time and in some other times? The only crime they're being accused of is the good people. The only crime is that they are Muslims, they are good doers, they purify themselves. That's the only crime that they commit. And that is the reason why they want to eject them outside of the community. They don't want any part of that. As if they feel the guilt inside of their hearts is that if you don't do what we do, if you don't agree on what we are doing, you have no place in our communities. You're gonna have to leave. You're gonna have to be in the state of exile away from us, of where we at. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately, in the next ayah, number 83, immediately and right away, فَأَنْجَيْنَاهُ, we have saved him, وَأَهْلَهُ, and his ahl, his family, إِلَّا, except, إِلَّا, with the exception of إِمْرَأَتَهُ, his woman. And there's no talk of wife, and there's a talk of his woman. And subhanAllah, there's a big research here in the Quran about a woman and a wife. Zawj is the wife, the equal part, and imra'atahu. Inshallah, we'll talk about this one extensively. We have discussed it before. And there's a big talk about this, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the good matching wife of a prophet to be a zawj. And if she is not fulfilling her full duties towards her husband, she become imra'atahu, his woman. So his woman here, she was not fulfilling her full duties. She was kind of betraying him, as to one of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described it, Imra'ata Nuhin wa Imra'ata Lut in the other surah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described them as a state of khiyana. They have betrayed their husbands. They have the betrayal here in two different levels. Number one is that they were not believing in what he used to believe. Number two is that the kind of betrayal is that they used to do something to oppose what he was doing, as to spread the good. Supposedly, the wife of Lut alayhi salam, she used to inform her people, and especially when the three angels or the four angels that came to visit him, to inform him that his village or the people occupants of the village will be destroyed and he has to leave before sunrise. His wife, actually, she informed her people, is that come over, there's good looking three travelers, come over, check them out. In other words, she was kind of helping them in the pursuing their evil ways and their bad ways of following men. So, and that's the story. That's the kind of betrayal. So, فَأَنْجَيْنَاهُ, we have saved him, وَأَهْلَهُ, and his family, إِلَّا, except امرأته, except his wife, his woman, كانت من الغابرين, she was from the ones who غابرين, who went away, who withered away, who are not, he's no longer from the surviving ones. وأمطرنا عليهم مطرا. A matar is a rain, but bad rain. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described in the Quran, if you want to talk about good rain, we talk about غيث. And if you're talking about matar is a rain but brings in a bad effect. وَأَمْطَرْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ مَطَرًا. And in Arabic, when we say the word, I walked a walk, like in English. We brought down rain, we rained a rain. We rained a rain. When we talk about masdar, or the source, after the sentence, we walked a walk, we rained a rain, to emphasize the quality or the quantity. So we brought to them rain, and what a rain it was. The emphasis on the quality of it and the quantity of it, and what is the effect of this rain, what has it done. And then وَأَمْطَرْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ, upon them, مَطَرًا, rain, but what a rain, what an effect of this rain. فَانظُرْ, look at the effect. كيف, how, كان عاقبة المجرمين, how is the end result of the criminals, the mujrimeen, min al-mujrim. Look at the end result of them. Look what has happened to them. Very concise, straightforward. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to the people of Sadum, send them Lut alayhi salam. He informed them, stop doing what you're doing something bad. They said, kick him out. They are people who yatataharun. They are people of purity. They clean themselves. They are bringing purity to themselves. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَنْجَيْنَاهُ, we have saved him, except his woman. She was not from the saved ones. She was from the destroyed ones. وَأَمْطَرْ, brought upon them a rain, and what a rain it was. فَانظُرْ, look at the aqibah, look at the end result. And that is, who is the fanzur? Look. Who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordering to look? Is it Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam look? Or is it to anybody and everybody who is reciting the Quran? Or is it to every single human being? Look at the end result of these mujrimeen, these criminals who violated the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at the end result. Look at the end result of your actions. You are ordered to do good. And if you violate this order, if you do something different than what you are ordered to do, that would be leading to demise, destruction, removal, and torture from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, either here on the face of this earth, or the life after, or possibly both. Clear forward. So, watch this. You notice that how the prophets, when they came into their people, they're addressing two issues, primarily, two groups of issues. One group of shirk, kufr, one group of violations of the common laws and standards of how to live a life here on the face of this earth. You notice that the people of Nuh alayhi salam, there's no talk of them violating orders, cheating people, committing any kind of homosexuality, zina, or none of this. It's all about tawheed. It's all about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You notice that Lut alayhi salam, what is he telling his people? Is to address the issue of violations of sexual nature, robbery, how they used to rob each other, how they treat each other, when they're sitting in their setting, in their own gatherings, how they used to insult each other. They used to do very bad acts amongst each other. They used to have bad jokes with each other. They used to play games with each other. That is completely waste of time. So you notice that the message of the messages are basically concentrated on two issues. Issue number one is what is somebody should do towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is huququllah, and the other issue towards what you're supposed to be doing towards other people, which is huquq al-ibad, towards other people. The violations of either one that will cause demise and destruction and possibly torture here on the face of this earth and the life after. Look at this, another example now. Look at the crimes of people of Lut, and look at the crimes of the people of Shu'aib, the people of Madian. Look what has happened. The next ayah here, the ayah number 85. وَإِلَى Madian, the people of Madian, أَخَاهُمْ شُعَيْبًا, their prophet, their brother Shu'aib, that was one of them. قَالَ, he said to them, يَا قَوْمِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مَا لَكُمْ مِنْ إِلَهٍ غَيْرُهُ. Now, the addressing here, when he tells these people, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't have any other deity worthy of worship except him. قَدْ جَاءَتْكُمْ بَيِّنَةٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. Bayyina, a clarification has come from your Rabb, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do you do here? فَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانِ. It seems to be the people of Shu'aib are more addressing both issues together. The issue of huququllah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it was a clear violation of not worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they used to worship something else. Obviously, we know what it is. It's actually it's called the tree, Ashab al-Ayah. We'll talk about this. And the other violation is towards people. It says, فَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانِ. Make wafa, make complete, comply with the oath of kail, the weight, and the mizan, the scale. وَلَا تَبْخَسُوا النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُمْ. Do not make bakhs. Tabkhas, we say, and we know the word, فَشَرَوْهُ in Surah Yusuf, فَشَرَوْهُ بِثَمَنٍ bakhs. Bakhs is that worthless, not even worth mentioning. وَلَا تَبْخَسُوا. Do not make tabkhis to, bakhs to, the value, do not bring down the value of people of what they have. What they used to do, and let me continue on with the third crime that they used to do, which is possibly the fourth here, depends on how you calculate it. وَلَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Do not commit mischief, do not commit fasad, do not commit evil doing, mischief here on the face of this earth. بَعْدَ إِصْلَاحِهَا. After it's been fixed. The earth is fixed, the earth is good. You are committing mischief, you are destroying it, you are ruining it. ذَلِكُمْ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. That is better for you. إِن كُنْتُمْ مُؤْمِنِينَ. So, the people of Shu'aib, the people of Madian, they used to worship a tree. This tree is called Ayah, and is well known in the desert. The people of Midian, and we know that they used to live in the northern western part of the Arabian Peninsula. That is that's in the border between what we say today, Saudi Arabia and Palestine or Sinai Desert, right in that area there. And some scholars said actually in the Sahara, in the desert of Naqab. Sahara and Naqab is south of Palestine today, in the southern part of Palestine. It's called Naqab Desert. And if you recall also in the story of Musa alayhi salam, when he had that altercation with that Coptic, the the Pharaoh follower, and he killed him, and he ran away with his life. He crossed the border of the Egyptian or the Pharaoh area of control. He crossed it to Midian, and he met the two women. He married one of them for 10 years, and her father was also is called Shu'aib. You know, the scholar said his name Shu'aib also, in the name of the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is, by the way, they're two different characters. A lot of people get confused because they are the same name. They're not the same character. There's hundreds of years different apart between one or the other. By the way, Shu'aib himself is, as from his lineage, he's from descendants of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So he's not from the Israelites, because we know the Israelites are the sons of the grandson of Ibrahim, the son of Isaac, Ishaq, Yaqub, and that's his name, Israel. That's his name. So all his descendants called the Israelites. So Shu'aib is from another portion, from another part, from the descendants of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So he's basically cousin of the Israelite. He's not from them, but he's cousin. He's from definitely descendants of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And his people used to worship this tree. This tree is called Ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned a few times in the Quran, the people of Ayah. And the people of Ayah, it's an amazing looking tree. It looks like it's intertwining, kind of this twisting tree. It grows all by itself in the middle of the desert. It lasts a long time, and it has very unusual shape. With the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you look at it, subhanAllah, brings a it is an amazing looking tree. How it is twisted and entwines itself within itself, and subhanAllah, as amazing look as it looks, as it's so striking, subhanAllah, people, instead of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who created the tree, they started to worship the tree itself. So, and this is what happens, subhanAllah, you notice this? Instead of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who created the sun, they worship the sun itself. Instead of worshiping the creator of the cow, we worship the cow itself. Instead of worshiping the one who created the fire, we worship the fire itself. And on like this. SubhanAllah. Look at how shaitan works with our minds. Obviously, all these objects, all these creations are worthy of admiration. No questions asked. This creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left it for us here on the face of this earth as a clue to find him, to worship him. But subhanAllah, how the shaitan plays with our minds. We actually worship the object, we worship the subject instead of worshiping the creator of this object, the creator of this creation, right? So going back to Midian after this explanation, their prophet Shu'aib. What did Shu'aib tell them? 4 orders. Number 1, Ibadullah, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't have any other deity. Number 1. Number 2, and to clarify this, you have a bayina, you have a clarification. You have no way for you to get confused about this. Number 1. Number 2, فَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانَ. So as a result, and look at the intertwining the relationship between worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and straightness of the act. And so look what it says here. فَأَوْفُوا, as a result of this, continuation of it, isti'nafiyya, فَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانَ. Pay or make wafa, pay in full the kail, the measurement, make it straight, the measurement, and al-mizan as the scale. And number 2 is وَلَا تَبْخَسُوا النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُمْ, and do not belittle things that belongs to other people. And number four is that وَلَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Supposedly the people of Shu'aib, their crime is that when they used to trade, and they were traders, they used to live up in the north between, like in the hub between the people of Palestine, in Sham, Palestine, Syria and Palestine, and all the northern region, and the southern region. So they used to be in a hub, in a trade hub right in the middle. So one of their actions is that they used to cheat people out of their scale. They used to have two scales. When they used to buy things from people, they used to weigh it in a certain way. When they used to sell them, they used to weigh it in a different way. And that was their standards, that was one of the violations they were committing. Also, the other violation is that when people used to bring things to them to sell, like, for instance, let's say a farmer bring in a kind of agricultural product like tomatoes or lettuce, or even a merchant who's bringing, carpeting or rugs, or somebody who's bringing any kind of, like steel, like knives or swords or shields or whatever it is. The minute they see it, they always belittle this product for them to get a better price from the seller, from the person who is the craftsman, the maker of this product, the owner of this product, in order for them to take it at better value. And then eventually when they sell it, they inflate that value back for them to make the most amount of profit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited us from doing this. Prohibited us from being unfair. When you have a product in your hand, any kind of product, could be, if you're a butcher, it could be meat. If you're a furniture maker, it could be furniture. If you are a home seller, like, for instance, real estate agent, if you are whatever that you are selling, give the right value of what you have in your hand. Wallahi, brothers, there's a true story, and I want to tell you about this. In one of the countries, where one of the brothers is talking about homes, and look what the cheating is happening. And this is in the middle of Damascus. In the middle of Damascus, the heart of Islam. One of the real estate agents, and happened right there in front of us. One of the real estate agents, he's selling a home in the same area, in a building right across the street. The guy's saying, oh yeah, this one about 10 million, this would worth 10 million in the Syrian lira, right? And then when the guy, he asked, we're sitting there, he asked, he said, what about a house in the building, right in that building across the street? He said, oh, that is too expensive. That's in the 15, 16, 17 million. And the guy happened to be, he owns a house in that building and he wants to sell it. So he said, oh, subhanAllah, that's good. So if you're saying 15, 16, 17 million, alhamdulillah, is a good thing. So he looks at him and says, yeah, you know what? I have this apartment there in this house, blah, blah, blah. The guy immediately, unnoticing, he says, oh, yeah, that will give you 9 million. I say, subhanAllah. Subhanallah, in one sentence, he brought it up to 17 million because he wants to sell the house that he is offering, the one he's showing. And then once he's selling, brought it down to 9 million. This is exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent Shu'aib to his people in Madian for them not to do. And we are the people of Islam. We are doing it day in and day out. We are cheating each other. We are cheating not only each other, we're cheating everybody. We look at a house, we inflate the value, we deflate the value, we bring this one up, we bring this one down. If somebody wants to sell, we'll bring it down. If somebody wants to buy, we'll bring it up, and on and on and on like this. This is reasons where it is the source of demise and death and destruction, the removal of these people off the face of this earth. We think of it as like no big deal. That's that guy, that merchant is smart. Look what he's doing. That's not smart. This cheating. Cheating is a reason for demise. And look at the fourth reason. وَلَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Do not commit mischief. This is a fasad. You are ruining the system here on the face of this earth. The guy who's selling ended up getting the short end of the sale, getting cheated. The guy who is the middleman getting the most amount, and the guy who's buying getting also getting the short end of the stick because he's paying the most. So basically, it is a clear stealing. We're stealing. We are actually removing, not in a hidden nighttime, entering the people's homes and taking money away from their homes. We're actually in broad daytime taken money away from people, stripping them of what they are rightfully theirs. That is complete cheating. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Prophet to warn them about these four things, but starting with worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one only. And because of this, look at the word here, fa'awful kayd. Worship, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't have any other deity. Because of this, awful kayd. And then, what else? وَلَا تَقْعُدُوا بِكُلِّ صِرَاطٍ تُوعِدُونَ وَتَصُدُّونَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ مَنْ آمَنَ بِهِ وَتَبْغُونَهَا عِوَجًا. And do not sit, وَلَا تَقْعُدُوا مِنَ الْقُعُودِ, do not sit in every, بِكُلِّ, in every, in every, kull, sirat, a way and a method and a road, in tu'iduna, you are promising, وَتَصُدُّونَ, you are pushing away from sadda. Sadda yasud is to eject or to push away, and the word comes in from the word sada. Sadda yasuddu. Sada is an echo. You know how it is when you speak and echoes back because the mountains or the walls. Echo brings back your voice back to you, so it echoes back, right? وَتَصُدُّونَ تُوعِدُونَ وَتَصُدُّونَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ, you're pushing away from the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ones who مَنْ آمَنَ بِهِ, the ones who believed in Him. وَتَبْغُونَهَا عِوَجًا, and you are seeking it in a state of crookedness, in a state of zigzag, and it's not in a straight way. You are seeking things in the ways of wrong, not the straight way, not the good way, in a crookedness way. وَاذْكُرُوا, and remember, إِذْ كُنْتُمْ قَلِيلًا, and when you were, remember the time where you were few. إِذْ كُنْتُمْ قَلِيلًا, you were few. فَكَثَّرَكُمْ, and He made you a lot. He made you, large numbers. He gave you the numbers. You became bigger nation, bigger, entity. وَانظُرُوا, and look at كيف, how, كان, it was, عاقبة, the punishment or the end result of mufsideen. You notice that the argument here of Lut alayhi salam, the end of ayah number 84, what did he say? فَانظُرْ كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُجْرِمِينَ, look at the end of the criminals, the end result or the end, what has happened to the criminals. In ayah number 86, look at the end result, or look at the end, what has happened to mufsideen, the mischievers, the bad doers, the evil doers. So, going back, وَلَا تَقْعُدُوا, and do not sit بِكُلِّ صِرَاطٍ, in every way. The scholars talk about every sirat and every way, that it is physical and it is psychological and verbal. They used to sit for the believers, the ones who followed Shu'aib. They sit out in the way, in the road, and they used to, try to demean them, try to push them away from the deen, try to discourage them, try to threaten them, try to convince them to leave Shu'aib and his method, right? Also, the emotional, psychological, and different ways that they used to do in every which way to push away from the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sounds familiar? Sounds familiar? That's exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the people of Shu'aib. And look at the threat here. Do not sit in any which way. You are threatening, you are demeaning, you are bringing down, you are breaking the believers. Do not sit that way. That would be a source and a reason for punishment and demise and destruction. And pushing away from the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ones who believe in it, and you seeking things in a crooked way, not in a good way, not in the straight way. And then وَاذْكُرُوا, and remember, look at what Shu'aib is telling his people. Two things. Remember what you were little before. You were small. You were not a big ummah, a big nation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you huge, made you bigger. So remember the ni'mah of where you were and where you are today. You're strong today. You're big in numbers. Remember the ni'mah of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, gave you, number one. And in a threatening way, وَانظُرُوا, look at the end result of the mufsideen, the ones who commit fasad, commit mischief. And we talked about the word fasad. We know exactly what it means. Was that when the fasid means that something is acting or doing different than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meant for it to be here on the face of this earth. Talked about an apple, if you recall quickly. The apple is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it on the face of this earth for the consumption, as to it is delicious, it's crunchy, it is good. When it becomes fasid, becomes kind of soft and is no longer kind of dry and kind of wrinkly in the outside, is not very appealing, it does not smell good. So anything that is not in the job and the status where it's supposed to be, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it on the face of this earth to be, become fasid. And what are these people doing here? Is that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling them, do not make fasad, do not, and do not look at it, and look at the end result of the mufsideen, the ones who are committing mischief after things were straightforward, after things were good. وَإِن كَانَ طَائِفَةٌ مِّنكُمْ, the ayah number 87. وإن كان طائفة منكم آمنوا بالذي أرسلت به وطائفة لم يؤمنوا فاصبروا حتى يحكم الله بيننا وهو خير الحاكمين. It says, if there is a group of you has believed in what I've been sent with, and another group, طائفة, another group who did not believe, فاصبروا, be patient until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make hukm, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rules amongst us, between the good doers and the bad doers. And he is khayrul hakimin, and he's the best of hakimin, the best of rulers amongst both. Here, an unusual situation has happened. The people of Lut, very few, except his family, possibly, nobody except his family even, has believed in him, and they were the ones who got saved. The people of Shu'aib, they were split in two different parts. Actually, there's a good group who are believers, and there's a group on the other side who were disbelievers. So there's a big dispute between the two groups. And look at the wisdom of the Prophet. Look what he's telling them. He says, look, if there's a group of you who believed in what I have sent, what I came with the message I came with, and another group who denied or did not believe in it, fasbiru, have patience. And look at what's going to happen between this and that. And subhanAllah, you notice how the sabr is a good thing for the kafir, and it's a good thing for the mu'min. It's a good thing for everybody across the board. If they have sabr, if they waited to see how the good will prevail, the good will eventually be victorious, maybe they would have joined it. Maybe they would have been there on the right side. But subhanAllah, how they were rushing things and they were saying something different. Look what they said. The ayah number 88. قال الملأ, we know the establishment or the people, or ملأ mina, the group of people who are there. الذين استكبروا, who made or committed the crime of arrogance from his people. Istikbar, what did they say? They were too arrogant. They said, we are too important, we are too rich, we're too high up to believe in Shu'aib, to believe in his prophecy. We are too rich, we are too important, we are high up than believing in Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Who are these Muslims? Who are these followers of the deen? Who are these good doers? We're above that. We don't need to go through this path. We got money, we got wealth, we got status, we got lineage, we got. Why do we have to follow? Istikbar, arrogance. Arrogance, brothers, is one of the greatest, the biggest crimes of anybody. It ruins his deen, it ruins his trade, it ruins his character, it ruins all his good deeds that he would do. Look, if even some good doers there, you want to give sadaqah, you want to give just money to a poor person. If you want to give it to him in humbleness, that's accepted from you. If you get to give it to him in arrogance, that will actually negate it, that will cancel it. It will become a bad deed. Look at somebody who wants to approach somebody with a good advice. If you advise him with humbleness versus advising him with arrogance. The people who have arrogance, nobody will believe in them, nobody will follow them. Look at the character of the arrogance. When it enters the heart, it ruins it. It just turns it in the other direction from being good. These people who istakbaru, who have the arrogance from his people, they said, لَنُخْرِجَنَّكَ يَا شُعَيْبُ, we will get you out. Instead of لَنَفْعَلَنَّكَ, we will kick you out. We will get you out, يا شُعَيْبُ. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَكَ, and the ones who believed with you, مِنْ قَرْيَتِنَا, from our village. Similarly to the people of Lut. You notice the similarity and dissimilarities. The message is one. The goodness has to spread. The crimes are a little bit different. The crimes of fahisha for the people of Lut, the crimes against the humanity of cheating and spreading mischief for the people of Shu'aib, the biggest crime of worshipping other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely in the days of Nuh alayhi salam, and committing crimes against their own people by not allowing the message to spread. And see, the message a little bit, the crimes a little bit different, but the message is one. And the messengers, they always speak of the same tone, the same ways, sent from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They said, the ones who had istikbar, who did not want to believe because they're too arrogant, they said to Shu'aib, he says, we will kick you out. لَنُخْرِجَنَّكَ يَا شُعَيْبُ, we will kick you out of our village, and the ones who have believed with you. Oh, or لَتَعُودَنَّ, or you will come back. لَتَعُودُنَّ فِي مِلَّتِنَا, you will come back in our millah, in our deen, in our group. You'll come back to us. You'll become part of us. If you don't believe in what we believe, you have no place in our village, in our metropolis, in our gathering here. قال, he said to them, he argued back, قال أولو كنا كارهين, how about if we're كارهين, how about if we hate it? We don't want to leave. We don't want to leave. We don't want to, we're in a state of karaha. We don't like it. How about if we don't want to? And the message here, قال قد افترينا على الله كذبا إن عدنا في ملتكم بعد إذ نجانا الله منها. He says, how about if we don't like to be a part of your group? How about if we don't want to be part of the, bad doers, cheaters, the ones who commit mischief like you? How about if we don't want to? You're forcing us to be like part of you. And if we do, we have committed iftira. We have committed a great crime of lying upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we come back in your millah, in your group, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved us from it. Subhanallah, look at this message. He says, they are actually considering themselves being saved from this mischief, from this big evil pond of bad doers and bad actions of these people. They looked at it and say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved us from it. We have committed a great crime if we go back into it again. What are you telling us? After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved us from us to go back into the same bad deeds, evil deeds like this? Is this what you want us to do? He says, and then they said, وَمَا كَانَ يَكُونُ لَنَا, and there was no way for us أَن نَعُودَ فِيهَا, there was no way for us to go back into it, except, and look at the respect, look at the demeanor, إِلَّا, except for أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ رَبُّنَا, except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to will it for us. So even when they thought for a moment that, for them to go back, or the possibility of going back, said, there's no way for us to go back unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills it for us. So they're surrendering, as a big sign of surrendering their ways to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills for us, we will do, regardless of how bad or how good or whatever the situation is for us. وَسِعَ رَبُّنَا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ عِلْمًا. Look at the compliment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has surrounded wasi' min wasa'a, from the side of everything, ilm and knowledge. Inshallah, we're going to stop at the end of this ayah, inshallah, and then we'll open for discussion, inshallah, quickly. We'll finish at the end of this. إِذْ وَسِعَ رَبُّنَا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ عِلْمًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surrounded everything with ilm and knowledge. على الله توكلنا, we have surrendered, we made full tawakkul upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They made the dua, ربنا افتح بيننا وبين قومنا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it open between us and our people. With what? With haqq, with the straight path, with the good fixed ways, not with lies and deceit and ruining things. وأنت خير الفاتحين, and you are the best of fatihin, you are the best of all fatihin overall. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and bless your families. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it a straightforward talk. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah teach us from the teaching.